Hi, this is John Zwarzina and with Jeff Green here, and we're going to show you guys how to fill out an as-is residential contract for purchase or sale. Jeff Green, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm down here in sunny South Florida. Life is good.
Perfect.
All right,
Why don't
so
you tell these people how to fill out the Florida FARBAR?
all right. Well, you've got hot spots, I call them. There's just certain areas of the contract. Other areas were put together by the Florida Bar. They're attorneys for the state of Florida, and they've put this together. And if it's good enough for them, yeah. So it's an as is. We always use an as is. And the reason is because we don't want to warranty the properties. We do a great job on renovations or whatever. But if it's something we're selling, everything's as is. Most of the things we buy from the bank is as is also. So you really got to be careful. Every once in a while, somebody will sneak one in that's not, and then you're responsible for repairs, up to 1.5% of the purchase price. So what we have here is owner of record. Banks don't like that. They want the actual description, but it works in most places. You can always do an addendum to add whoever's name or change it or whatever. So here's a property that we've been looking at, and it's 1085 Balsa Way, and here is where we get all the information to put onto the contract. The contract. There we go. All right, so owner of record, we go here. We always buy everything in a land trust. That way it's assignable, asset protection, estate planning. Land trust is a great vehicle to buy and sell properties. It gives you some anonymity, and it takes a lot of the risk away. And it's so easy. It's such a great vehicle to even hold property. So here we have the street address. Pretty simple. 10185 Balsa Way, Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Beach County. Here's the parcel control number. I never put the legal myself. That's a title company or attorney thing. Let them put that. Got the parcel, got the address. We're good to go. It is an as-is contract, but if you're making an offer to the bank, you want them to see, and even regular sellers of the property, you want them to see right here and here that you're very serious. It's as is, just the way it is now. So you get down here to the purchase price, and on this particular one, 282. Initial deposit made payable and delivered to escrow agent, $10,000. We're going to buy the property. We want to make a good offer. We want them to know that we're serious. We can put 1,000 there, but go right ahead. We'll go ahead and get the property ourselves because we're putting up a bigger deposit, and they do look at that. But if you look right here, made within 3 days. So we can put 0 inspection period on the contract. We still have 3 days before we ever put the deposit up. By then, we'll have plenty of time to go inspect it, look at the code enforcements, whatever we need to do, expired permits to make sure that what we're buying is going to be a great investment. We use Sunshine State Title. They're investor owned as well as attorney owned. And myself and John and a few of the attorneys, Evan and Jimmy Miller, awesome people. Sunshine State Title. There's nothing that can't be done at that title company. 1665 Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33409. We'd go there. And let's see. A lot of this is just verbiage, like if there's financing, of course, it would be put there. But at our 282, $10,000 deposit, we're down to 272. Over here, we want to kind of push them a little bit and not give them too much time. If we're making the offer, it's a solid offer, it's cash, no inspection, no contingencies. We want to buy it, and they fall in love with that premise, but you just don't want to give them too much time to think. Closing date, you make it whatever they'll agree to. Here's 30 days. If it's financing, a lot of times the agents want 45 days. I think if it's a good mortgage broker, they can, or a direct lender, they can get it done in 30. If not, they're going to be close to do a small extension. I do not like doing 45-day contracts. A lot of things could happen. I want to know if it's not going to work out as soon as possible. I'll have my backup buyer. We can get started again. Buyer's initials, seller's initials, and we're on to the next page. Occupancy, that is important. You have to make sure sometimes if it has a tenant, we've been lied to before where we bought properties, the tenant was not supposed to be in the property. The gentleman had signed a disclosure stating that it was not occupied. and we go there to find people living in it that have interest in the property. So these are kind of important to make sure, because you could get stuck with someone, a tenant, depending on the paperwork. Assignability. Well, we may assign simply because we're buying a land trust. That's number one. But if we can get away with checking the little box here, may assign and be released from liability, that's fine. But we're going to buy it if we say we're going to buy it. So a lot of times this box here is checked, may assign but not be released. And then we're assigning it with their permission, but we're still responsible, which is fine. So here is financing. And we check that box there. They can go get a loan, which is private or hard money, but there is a contingency on the financing. So basically you're losing the deposit if you did not follow through. The deposit goes hard as soon as the inspection period is over. Okay, so we're at this part here, the loan amount. We got to go up just a little bit. There we go. If it was a loan, of course, it would be contingent on buyer, loan commitment, FHA, conventional financing, and you do these whether it's fixed rate, adjustable, but basically everything we're buying and selling is cash. So we'll go down a little bit. Number 9. 9 is important because that's who pays the closing costs. When you're making the offer, of course, the initials go here where it says buyer. Okay, closing costs. These are all things that are necessary to close it, and all these disclosures, because you need them. You need to know if the condo association, what's going on with that, any other fees, costs to be paid by buyer, title evidence, and so on. So down here, seller shall designate closing agent. So we wanted to close, of course, the Sunshine State title because we're going to protect our interest. We could get the buyer to pay, predominantly in Palm Beach County, the seller pays and picks a title company, but basically you can negotiate anything you want. Now, a lot of times we'll check number 3, because if they have a previous title policy, you're not necessarily paying all the closing costs as the buyer, but they're not either. You're kind of splitting the cost, even though it says Miami-Dade, Broward Regional Provision, it still works in Palm Beach County. So survey, if you see some fence that's over some shed, you may want to get one as a cash buyer, but otherwise, most of the time you can look at it and see it's fine. They got some good lines if you look at Papa, where you can see the boundaries. And home warranty, we always go NA. We're not giving any kind of warranty. There's outside sales companies that may offer it as a third party, but we don't get into that. No reason to. Let's see. We're going to go to the next page. Oh, here we go. Here's a good hot spot. Seller shall pay installments due prior to closing. I got stuck with a $600 bill one time with one property that I had bought. And reason being is this little box right here where the seller did not have to pay. And what it was, they had put sewer in, and the sewer, when they added to it, it was about $4,000, and they were able to make payments. Well, thank goodness they had paid all the payments except for about $600 worth, because otherwise I would have got stuck with that. But those are just little things that happen sometimes when you buy a bank-owned property, and you make your money when you buy, so you just have to do a good price, and it doesn't matter, all those little things don't hurt you a bit. Buyer's initials right there. All right, we don't mess with radon gas much down here. Permits disclosure, basically except as has been disclosed by the seller. Written disclosure, seller does not have any improvements that they know of to the property. Okay, and then your lead-based paint. A lot of property that we buy down here on F was built in the 50s and 60s and 70s, so they could have lead-based paint, but most of them have already been painted over. All right, so we'll go to the bottom. We'll put the initials on, and right there. And then this is important here. If this is left blank and somebody sneaks that in on you, and you go, "Oh, it's no inspection." No, it's 15-day inspection, and that's about the worst thing ever. I've seen people that wanted 21-day inspections, 60-day inspections, and unfortunately, you sign the contract, which I've never done that, thank goodness. But kind of leaves you hung out to dry for quite a while. Then you don't really know if it's closing or not. Like short inspection periods, we want to know if we're going to buy it or not buy it, or sell it or not sell it. No reason for a long, drawn-out process. They're either in or they're out. And you got the walkthrough provision. You have the right to walk through like within 24 hours. And assignment and repair, treatment of contracts and warranties, the buyer's option of cost, assignable repair. What they're talking about is if you have a tent company that put a tent on it and you have a contract that's assignable, that's mostly what they're saying there. And once again, no reason to read all this because it's made by the attorneys to protect everyone in the parties. There's nothing to check, there's nothing to fill out, there's nothing to do, just read it. And then you keep going down here. And it's all readable stuff. You initial it right here. And you go to the next page. And then you go right here and initial there. And basically this is all just verbiage. If you're doing a 1031 exchange, that would be important to you right there, but most people aren't. And not a whole lot to a contract. Basically, you put the initials there. That's why I call them hotspots. Over here is where your riders are. If you've got, let's go up just a hair. Your riders are these things here. If you know of defective drywall, if you're a homeowners association doing some seller financing with the contract, there's always these little riders. There's one for FHA, there's one for VA. If it's a short sale, you have a short sale addendum to the contract, as well as a short sale addendum to the listing agreement. So there's so many different little clauses. They check the little box. Now down here is where you can write everything you want. Like I would write clear of all code violations and liens, and no open or expired building permits. And then you could add if your brokerage has a fee, you could put that. That's exactly where that would go, and you say, hey, the buyer has to pay a buyer's fee, or the seller has to pay a seller fee. And yeah, so anything you want, you can write in there. I've seen people write books in there. It's crazy what they do, but you got to read every part of it. And then here you initial at the bottom of this page. And you're making the offer. So as making the offer, that would be, if you're selling it, no, you have to wait for the buyer to make the offer first. And they put their signature there and the date. And a lot of times I don't bother putting an address, unless it's a post office box, but not as important as anything else. If there's realtors involved, the broker would be here. That's the company name. And Palm Beach Investors Realty, that's our company name actually. That would go here as the property broker. And then the agent would be on the line that we're typing on now. And then if you're the listing sales associate, that's where the person would go over on the right. And then the listing broker. So it just depends. It's always interesting how they put this backwards, because I would think the listing sales agent would be on the left side because they're the ones that listed the property. But anyway, that's how it is. And then the company name would go under the cooperating broker because they're cooperating and they're actually the buyer's agent, which is probably a better word. But all right, so what else do we have on this contract? No, that's basically it. And so right there we'd initial that also. They have an initial and a signature on the same page, which is interesting. And that is it. You print it, you scan it, or however you save it, put your signatures in there, and send it away. And this is a property that we actually are purchasing now. It's a good deal. Ran our comparables. And you can't buy in slow motion. You have to kind of get educated, know what you're doing, and know the comparables. That's like the most important part. A lot of people go out and they like the house. No, it's a pretty house. Let me just buy it. And then they don't really think it through, where the comparables are actually your retail value. What's it really worth? That is the most important part. Because then you can go, okay, well, I can put it for this price, add repairs, and then a lot of people don't even put their profit into a percentage. But it's all calculated for me. If you buy it like 65%, or maybe 5 or 10% repairs, put your 20% profit if that's what you're looking for, and maybe 7 or 8% to sell it. Because if you're putting it back on the MLS, your closing costs, especially if you're paying for title, and recording with the deed, you want to make profit. You have to add your profit in there. So anyway, John, what do you have?
That was perfect. I mean, that's how to fill out an as-is contract. I mean, the only thing else that you would attach when you're sending this over is your proof of funds, right, Jeff? And then that's it. Send away, right?
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to have relationships with some of these people, because if you're a repeat buyer, of course, you don't want to go as a repeat buyer and lowball. The problem with a lot of investors, and even myself, you get locked into paying certain dollar amounts for different products, or that's what I call a product. It's property. But you think in your mind that, I've been buying this one at 40,000, this one at 80,000, and as the market goes up, you got to continually pay more. But you're not programmed that way, because you always want the bargain in the deal, and a lot of times you kind of miss out on them. So we have to adjust, because a lot of times they say if you're doing the same thing you were a few months back and the market changed, you might not be getting calls on your bandit signs anymore. Maybe your letters that you're sending out aren't working where they have worked a few months ago. So you always got to be honing the craft, honing the skill, and asking people what works and make it work.
Agreed. All right. Well, we'll make another video on how to comp a property by using the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser site right here that we went to earlier in the contract. And anything else to add, Jeff, before we shut this down?
No, just buy something. Don't be afraid to make an offer. Don't overanalyze it. Do some research and make an offer. Buy something and make some money. And there's a lot of people that I didn't realize how many people are really on the fence. They want to learn, but they're just either not getting it, or they need somebody to hold their hand, because it's a big thing. I mean, a lot of people buy one or two houses in their life, and bought hundreds and hundreds, and it's like, it's a feeling sometimes of being able to do that and not get financing and just go out and buy something either through assignment or get hard money, private money, renovate. And, once you really get good at it, making money, I mean, that's what you will be doing for the rest of your life. So we're going to try to help you. I didn't realize there was such a big need for it until some of our recent meetings, and we're going to put something together that's going to educate the crowd, and they're going to be able to be successful. Because you took the time to listen to some of the videos and come to the meetings, there's no reason that you don't get the help that you deserve. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, so this is John Rosina and Jeff Green again. And if you would like to watch the rest of our videos on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share it on your social media pages. This is John Rosina and Jeff Green signing out. Check us out on our next video. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.